80% of German vehicles froze immobile while Soviet tanks kept moving. Not because Soviet steel was better, but because they designed for negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit from the start.
Tigers with frozen engines. T-34 seconds with wide tracks that floated on snow. Winter didn't stop the Eastern Front. It decided it. This is every vehicle that survived the coldest war in history.
Panzer III. The Panzer III formed the backbone of German armored forces during the opening phases of the Eastern Front campaign. Designed for maneuver warfare, it entered the conflict optimized for roads and moderate terrain, not deep snow or extreme cold. As winter set in, its narrow tracks and mechanical tolerances struggled against frozen ground and mud, yet it remained in service because no immediate replacement existed. In combat, the Panzer III continued to lead assaults and counterattacks, often supported closely by infantry to compensate for reduced mobility. Its presence mattered because it represented Germany's attempt to maintain operational momentum even when environmental conditions actively resisted mechanized warfare. Panzer IV. Originally intended as an infantry support tank, the Panzer IV evolved into Germany's most adaptable armored vehicle of the war. On the Eastern Front, it became increasingly important as winter fighting exposed the limitations of lighter armor and undergun platforms. Its wider tracks and more robust suspension offered marginally better performance in snow compared to earlier designs. The Panzer IV's continued deployment through successive winters reflected Germany's reliance on incremental upgrades rather than radical redesigns. It mattered because it became the armored constant in a theater defined by attrition, weather, and expanding Soviet resistance. T-34. The T-34 ended the war already shaped by the realities of Eastern European terrain and climate. Its wide tracks, sloped armor, and diesel engine gave it a decisive advantage in snow, ice, and mud. Unlike many contemporaries, it was engineered with loose tolerances that allowed it to function even when ice and debris entered moving parts. In winter combat, the T-34 could maneuver where enemy tanks stalled, enabling Soviet forces to conduct counteroffensives under conditions previously assumed to halt operations. Its significance lay not only in numbers, but in how well its design matched the environment of the Eastern Front. Kw-1. The KV-1 represented Soviet emphasis on survivability during the early war years. Its heavy armor made it nearly impervious to many German weapons encountered in the winter of 1941. Though mechanically unreliable and slow, it could anchor defensive positions even in deep snow. The KV-1 mattered because it demonstrated that, in winter warfare, armor protection could outweigh speed. Its battlefield presence forced tactical adaptations and highlighted the shifting balance between firepower and endurance. BA-64. The BA-64 was a lightweight armored car developed specifically with harsh conditions in mind. Built on a rugged four-wheel drive chassis, it was compact, narrow, and capable of traversing snow-covered tracks unsuitable for larger vehicles. In winter operations, the BA-64 was used primarily for reconnaissance and liaison duties. Its importance came from its ability to operate when heavier-wheeled vehicles failed, preserving situational awareness during periods of limited visibility and mobility. Sd.Kfz 222. The Sd.Kfz 222 was a fast reconnaissance vehicle designed for rapid movement across road networks. On the Eastern Front in winter, its limitations became evident as icy surfaces and deep snow restricted its effectiveness. Despite these challenges, it continued to serve because reconnaissance remained essential even under adverse conditions. The vehicle mattered because it illustrated how doctrine often lagged behind environmental reality, forcing crews to improvise in unsuitable machines. Sd.Kfz 251. The Sd.Kfz 251 half-track was designed to transport infantry alongside armored formations. Its tracked rear section offered improved traction over snow compared to wheeled trucks, making it more reliable during winter offensives and retreats. In practice, the Sd.Kfz 251 enabled German forces to maintain combined arms operations even as weather-degraded roads. It mattered because it represented a partial solution to winter mobility, bridging the gap between tanks and trucks. M3. Half-track. Supplied to the Soviet Union through Lend-Lease, the M3 half-track provided additional winter-capable transport. Its mechanical reliability and ease of maintenance made it valuable in prolonged cold conditions. The M3's presence on the Eastern Front underscored the international dimension of the conflict. It mattered because it expanded Soviet logistical and tactical flexibility during winter campaigns. Opel Blitz. The Opel Blitz was the standard German logistics truck throughout much of the war. Designed for efficiency rather than extreme conditions, it struggled in snow and mud, often requiring extensive support to remain operational. Its continued use in winter highlighted the vulnerability of German supply lines. The Opel Blitz mattered because logistical failure, not battlefield defeat alone, increasingly shaped outcomes on the Eastern Front. ZES-5. The ZES-5 was a simple, rugged truck that prioritized reliability over comfort or speed. Its straightforward construction allowed it to function in severe cold with minimal maintenance. In winter warfare, the ZES-5 kept Soviet forces supplied when more complex vehicles failed. It mattered because endurance and simplicity proved decisive under extreme environmental stress. Sd.Kfz. The STZ-5 was a tracked artillery tractor designed specifically for off-road conditions. Its tracks allowed it to tow heavy guns across snow-covered terrain where wheeled tractors could not operate. The STZ-5 mattered because artillery remained central to Soviet doctrine, even in winter. Without such vehicles, heavy firepower would have been immobilized during critical operations. Sd.Kfz. The Sd.Kfz 7 served as a prime mover for heavy German artillery. Its half-track configuration offered improved traction, though winter conditions still strained its mechanical systems. Its importance lay in sustaining German artillery effectiveness despite worsening weather. The Sd.Kfz 7 demonstrated how partial mobility solutions extended combat capability without fully overcoming environmental challenges. Aerosan. The Aerosan was a propeller-driven sled developed specifically for snowbound regions. Lightly armored and extremely fast on frozen surfaces, it was used for reconnaissance, patrol, and harassment missions. In winter warfare, the Aerosan exploited conditions that immobilized conventional vehicles. It mattered because it transformed snow from an obstacle into a tactical advantage. Wehrmacht, horse-drawn sled. Horse-drawn sledges remained in widespread use by German forces during winter. While technologically primitive, they were often more reliable than motor vehicles in deep snow. Their continued use mattered because it revealed the limits of mechanization. On the Eastern Front, winter restored relevance to pre-industrial transport methods. Winter warfare on the Eastern Front forced armies to confront the environment as an active opponent. Vehicles designed without regard for snow, ice, and extreme cold quickly became liabilities rather than assets. The machines that endured were not always the most advanced, but those best adapted to simplicity, traction, and mechanical tolerance. Tanks, trucks, and tractors alike were reshaped by necessity rather than doctrine. Collectively, these vehicles demonstrate that success in the East depended on alignment between technology and terrain. Winter did not pause the war. It selected which machines and which armies could continue to fight. The Eastern Front proved that in modern conflict, climate can determine not only how wars are fought, but which tools survive them.